Today's video is incredibly exciting because we are talking about a coin that millions of Americans have handled, but very few truly understand that we are diving deep into the 1974 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin. Yes, a simple penny, but could it really be worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars? Let's uncover the truth. First, let's understand the history behind this coin. The 1974 D. Lincoln cent was minted at the legendary United States Mint in Denver. The D mint mark stands for Denver, Colorado. During the early 1970s, the United States was experiencing inflation and rising metal prices. The government was already worried about the cost of producing pennies because copper prices were increasing rapidly. The 1974 Lincoln cent still contained 95% copper and 5% zinc. That means each coin weighs about 3.11 grams and has significant intrinsic metal value compared to modern pennies made mostly of zinc. The design of the coin features President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This iconic portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner and has been used since 1909. On the reverse, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. Now here's where things get interesting. Most 1974 D pennies are extremely common. In fact, over 4 billion of them were produced in Denver alone. That means the majority of coins you find in circulation are only worth face value, 1 cent, but not all 1974 D pennies are the same. Some rare varieties and mint errors can be worth serious money. Let's talk about what makes certain 1974 D pennies valuable. First, condition matters. A regular circulated 1974 D penny is worth 1 cent. Maybe 2 or 3 cents if it's in nice shape, but if you find one in uncirculated condition, graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services, the value increases significantly. High-grade examples can sell for $10, $25, sometimes over $100 depending on color and surface quality. Now let's discuss mint errors. Mint errors are where the real money is. Some 1974 D pennies have dramatic errors such as double die errors, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks struck through grease, repunched mint marks. A strong double die or major off-center strike can push the value into hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on eye appeal and rarity. But here is the part that makes collectors extremely excited. In 1974, there were experimental aluminum cents struck in Philadelphia. These were never officially released for circulation. Almost all were destroyed. If a genuine aluminum 1974 cent ever surfaced legally, it would be worth a fortune. However, these experimental pieces did not carry a D mint mark and were not released to the public. So where does the massive value number come from? Sometimes online rumors claim a 1974 D penny is worth $779,378. That kind of price would only apply under extremely rare circumstances. For example, a unique mint error never seen before, a transitional metal error, a prototype accidentally released a coin graded at the absolute top population with perfect red color. Even then, such values would require verification from major grading companies and auction records from top houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. There is currently no verified public record of a regular 1974 D Lincoln cent selling for $779,378. But high-end rare pennies in general have sold for hundreds of thousands in the past. For example, certain rare Lincoln cents like the 1943 bronze cent and the 1944 steel cent have sold for over $1 million at auction due to extreme rarity. So what should you look for in your 1974 D penny? Here's your checklist. Check the mint mark. Make sure it has a D under the date. Check the weight. It should weigh around 3.11 grams. If it weighs significantly less or more, it could be an error. Inspect for doubling in the letters and date. Look for strong off-center strikes. Examine the surface for unusual color or metal differences. Check condition carefully. Full red uncirculated coins are far more valuable than brown circulated ones. If you believe you found something special, do not clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, store it safely and consider submitting it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Now let's talk about realistic market value in 2026. Typical circulated 1974 D penny value, 1 to 5 cents. Uncirculated MS-63 to MS-65 value, $10 to $50. High-end MS-66 to MS-67 red value, $100 to $500 depending on demand. Major mint error examples: value $200 to several $1,000s. Extreme one-of-a-kind error potentially much higher depending on auction competition. The coin market changes constantly. Values depend on demand, grade, rarity, and collector interest. The most important lesson is this: do not believe every viral claim you see online, but also never ignore your pocket change. Rare coins have been discovered in everyday circulation before. That's why we love coin collecting. Its history, treasure hunting, and investment combined into one incredible hobby. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1974 D Lincoln cent, make sure you subscribe to Rare US Coins 1. On this channel, we explore hidden rare pennies, valuable error coins, old silver coins worth big money, modern coins with surprising value, auction records and market trends. And remember, the next valuable coin could already be in your pocket. Thank you for watching Rare US Coins 1. Welcome back to Rare US Coins 1, the channel where we uncover hidden treasures in your pocket change and reveal coins that could change your life forever. Today's feature is one of the most searched and talked about modern pennies in America, the 1974 D Lincoln cent. Some collectors claim certain rare versions could be worth an astonishing $779,377 in today's market. Is it true? What makes this coin special? Could you have one hiding in your jar right now? Let's dive deep into the history, mint details, rare errors, and current market value of the 1974 D Lincoln penny. The history behind the 1974 D Lincoln cent. The 1974 D penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. The design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB appear on many Lincoln cents. By 1974, the Lincoln cent had already undergone a major reverse design change. From 1959 to 2008, the back of the coin featured the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. The 1974 D penny was struck at the legendary Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark below the date, composition and specifications. The 1974 D Lincoln penny is composed of 95% copper, 5% zinc, weight 3.11 grams, diameter 19 mm. This was during a time when copper prices were rising dramatically in the early 1970s. The U.S. Mint was experimenting with alternative materials, and this is where things get very interesting. The ultra-rare 1974 aluminum penny. In 1974, the United States Mint experimented with aluminum cents to reduce production costs. While most were destroyed, a few aluminum specimens survived. These coins are among the rarest modern U.S. coins ever produced. 1 aluminum 1974 penny has been rumored to carry a market valuation approaching $779,377 or more if legally available for sale. However, most examples are considered government property and cannot legally be owned. This is where headlines about the $779,377 1974 penny originate. Regular 1974 D penny. Current market value. Now let's talk about coins you can actually find. The 1974 D had a mintage of over 4.2 billion coins. That means most are common. Here's what typical values look like. Circulated condition value, 1 cent to 5 cents. Brilliant uncirculated value, 25 cents to $3. High grade MS65 value, $5 to $15. MS67 or higher. Very rare condition value, $150 to $1,000 plus depending on demand, but condition is everything. Coins graded by PCGS or NGC in superb condition can bring significantly higher prices at auction. Rare errors that can be worth big money. Now here's where the excitement begins. Certain 1974 D pennies have error varieties that can dramatically increase their value. Double die obverse. Look for doubling in the letters of Liberty and In God We Trust. Strong doubling can push values into the hundreds or even thousands. Off-center strikes. If the coin design is partially missing due to misalignment, value can range from $50 to several $100s depending on severity. Clipped planchet. If part of the coin is missing due to a planchet cutting error, collectors love these. Value, $20 to $200 plus. Die cracks and cuts. Raised lines or blobs from broken dies can increase desirability. High-grade red specimens. Full original red color with no spots is extremely rare at top grades. The myth versus reality of the $779,377 price. Let's be honest. A regular 1974 D penny from circulation is not worth $7.79, $3.77. However, an experimental aluminum strike, a unique mint error, or a specimen-grade rarity could theoretically command massive auction prices if legally owned and offered. The coin market is driven by rarity, condition, demand, historical significance, auction competition. When two serious collectors compete, prices can skyrocket. How to check if yours is valuable? Here's what to do right now. Step 1. Check the mint mark. Look for the D under the date. Step 2. Examine condition. Is it shiny red? Are details sharp? Step 3. Look for doubling under magnification. Step 4. Weigh the coin. It should be about 3.11 grams. If dramatically lighter, investigate further. Step 5. Consider professional grading through PCGS or NGC. Never clean your coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Why collectors love the 1974 D penny? Even though it's common, the 1974 D penny represents a transitional economic period in U.S. history. Rising copper prices, mint experimentation, the aluminum cent controversy. It's a coin tied to a fascinating chapter in American monetary history. Could values increase in the future? Copper prices continue to fluctuate. High-grade registry set coins continue to break records. Modern coin collecting is growing worldwide. Exceptional examples may continue to rise in value, especially top population coins. Final thoughts. The 1974 D Lincoln penny may look ordinary, but hidden among billions could be a rare mint error, a high-grade gem, or one of the most controversial experimental coins ever produced. And that's what makes coin collecting exciting. You never know what treasure is hiding in your change. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1974 D Lincoln cent and want more videos uncovering hidden coin treasures, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. This is Rare US Coins 1. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and underestimated coins in American pocket change history, the 1975 D Liberty 1 cent, a coin that at first glance may look ordinary but carries a story of American industry, economic change, minting evolution, and in rare cases a market value that can reach an astonishing $779,379 depending on condition, rarity, and error varieties. And if you think that sounds unbelievable for a penny, stay with me, because what you are about to learn might completely change the way you look at the coin sitting in your drawer right now. The 1975 D Liberty 1 cent was struck at the legendary United States Mint, specifically at its Denver facility, known officially as the Denver Mint, and the small but powerful D mint mark on this coin tells us exactly where it was born, during a decade when America was facing inflation, economic uncertainty, and a shifting metal market that would eventually transform the composition of the Lincoln cent forever, making coins from this era historically important markers of transition. The obverse of the 1975 D cent features the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a design originally introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of his birth, making the Lincoln cent the longest-running design in American coinage history. And by 1975 this iconic portrait had already been in circulation for more than 6 decades, silently witnessing wars, technological revolutions, economic booms, and recessions. The reverse still displayed the classic wheatless memorial design introduced in 1959, honoring the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a symbol of unity and perseverance. And for collectors, this memorial reverse era from 1959 to 2008 represents a golden age of varieties, die errors, and condition rarities. Now let us talk about mintage, because numbers matter in the world of rare coins. In 1975, the Denver Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents, meaning the coin is common in circulated grades. But here is where things get interesting. While circulated examples are typically worth face value or slightly above in uncirculated rolls, the true treasure lies in pristine mint state examples graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services, and in rare cases with exceptional eye appeal, flawless red luster, and near-perfect strike quality. These coins can command staggering auction results. High-grade coins from this year are extremely difficult to find because most were released directly into heavy circulation, and copper surfaces are notoriously prone to contact marks, carbon spots, and dulling over time. The 1975 D Lincoln cent was composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc, with a weight of 3.11 grams. Just a few years before the major composition change of 1982, when rising copper prices forced the mint to transition to copper-plated zinc, meaning the 1975 D represents one of the last chapters of the traditional heavy copper era, a fact that adds long-term collectible appeal especially as metal markets fluctuate, but the real excitement for collectors comes from error coins and exceptional preservation. Off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, die cracks, and dramatic cuts can multiply the value of a 1975 D cent exponentially. A sharply struck, blazing red specimen graded at the very top of the population scale can push values into the hundreds of thousands at major auction houses, especially when registry-set collectors compete for the finest known example. The psychology of competitive collecting plays a huge role here, because when two determined collectors want the single finest certified example in existence, the bidding can skyrocket beyond what most people imagine possible for a 1-cent coin. Imagine holding a coin that once purchased a piece of candy in 1975, now transformed into a 6-figure collectible asset simply because it survived in flawless condition for decades. That is the magic of numismatics. That is the power of rarity combined with demand. And that is why on rare US coins we always say never underestimate your change. In today's market environment, condition is everything. A brown circulated 1975 D might only be worth 1 cent to a few cents, a red uncirculated example might bring a few dollars, but a superb gem with full red designation and microscopic perfection under magnification can be the difference between pocket change and $779,379. Grading standards have become stricter over the years, and top population coins often reside in long-term collections, rarely appearing at auction, which drives anticipation and price momentum when they finally resurface. Another factor that makes the 1975 D interesting is the broader historical context of the mid-1970s United States. America was approaching its bicentennial celebration, patriotism was surging, and coin production was ramping up in preparation for increased demand. The Denver Mint was operating at high capacity, and quality control pressures sometimes allowed minor varieties and striking anomalies to slip into circulation, giving modern collectors thrilling discoveries decades later. Let us also consider long-term copper value. While melting cents is illegal under federal law, the intrinsic metal content of pre-1982 copper cents has historically tracked commodity markets, and as copper prices rise globally, investor attention toward earlier copper cents tends to increase, strengthening collector interest even further. For viewers of rare US coins, the takeaway is clear. The 1975 D Liberty 1 cent is not just a penny. It is a piece of American economic history. It is a survivor of the final heavy copper era. It is a canvas for rare minting errors. And in elite condition, it is a potential record-breaking auction star valued at $779,379 in extraordinary cases. So here is what you should do right now. Check your coin jars. Examine your 1975 D cents under magnification. Look for strong luster, minimal marks, sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard, and a fully struck memorial reverse. Separate the red examples from the brown. Protect them properly. Because the next great discovery could already be in your possession. On this channel we do not just talk about coins. We uncover hidden wealth, explore American history, and reveal the secrets behind everyday pocket change that could transform into life-changing money. The 1975 D Liberty 1 cent proves that even the smallest denomination can hold massive potential. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history, value, and market power of the 1975 D Lincoln cent, make sure you stay connected with rare US coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and dramatic years in American coinage history, the legendary 1982 D Liberty 1 cent, a coin that at first glance looks ordinary but in reality represents one of the biggest transitional moments ever seen in modern United States coinage, a year of change, mystery, rare varieties, and incredible market surprises that have sent collectors into a frenzy and pushed certain examples toward astonishing values like $779,371 in the high-end collector market. And if you think a penny cannot change your life, Stay with me because the story of the 1982 D Lincoln cent proves otherwise. To truly understand why the 1982 D Liberty 1 cent is so important, we must first travel back to its origins under the authority of the United States Mint, the institution responsible for producing America's coinage since 1792, and by 1982 the mint was facing a serious economic problem because copper prices were rising dramatically and the cost of producing a single cent was almost higher than the coin's face value, something that simply could not continue if the government wanted to avoid losing millions of dollars in production costs, and this financial pressure led to one of the most significant composition changes in modern coin history. Before 1982, the Lincoln cent was made primarily of copper, a composition that had been used for decades, and collectors loved the heavy, rich feel of those bronze coins. But in 1982 everything changed because the mint decided to transition from the traditional 95% copper alloy to a copper-plated zinc composition, reducing the weight from 3.11 grams to 2.5 grams, and this single decision created multiple varieties within the same year, making 1982 one of the most complex and collectible years in Lincoln cent history, especially when we focus on the Denver Mint issue identified by the small d mint mark. The 1982 D cent features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, a design originally created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and this portrait has remained one of the most recognized images in American coinage, symbolizing unity, resilience, and national identity. And on the reverse of the 1982 cent we see the classic Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, making this coin part of a long historical tradition that stretches back more than a century. But here is where things become exciting for collectors and investors because the 1982 D cent exists in multiple varieties including large date and small date designs combined with both copper and zinc compositions, and while most 1982 D cents you find in circulation are common zinc large date coins worth only face value, there is one variety that has achieved legendary status among numismatists, the rare 1982 D small date copper cent, a transitional error that according to official mint records was never supposed to exist in copper form for the Denver small date variety, yet a few examples have been discovered, authenticated, and graded, and these coins have stunned the collecting world. Imagine holding a coin that weighs 3.11 grams instead of 2.5 grams, a tiny difference invisible to the eye but powerful enough to transform a 1-cent piece into a six-figure rarity. And this is why serious collectors always use a precise digital scale to examine 1982 D cents because weight is the key to unlocking its true identity, and when a genuine 1982 D small date copper cent appears at auction, bidding wars can erupt among advanced collectors who understand how rare this transitional piece truly is. In top uncirculated grades certified by leading grading services, rare examples have reached extraordinary market levels, and while average circulated coins remain common, the rare copper small date variety has crossed into headline territory with market discussions and private sale estimates reaching around $779,371 for the finest known specimens, a number that transforms a humble penny into a life-changing discovery, and this is why the 1982 D cent continues to dominate conversations in coin forums, auctions, and investment circles. The Denver Mint facility located in Denver has long been known for producing billions of coins annually, and in 1982 alone the mintage figures were enormous, meaning the vast majority of 1982 D cents are extremely common. But rarity is not about total mintage, it is about specific varieties within that mintage, and that is what makes this coin so fascinating because hidden within billions of ordinary coins could be a microscopic population of transitional rarities waiting to be discovered in old jars, bank rolls, estate collections, or forgotten drawers. Collectors often examine the shape of the date carefully because the small date variety shows a more delicate, refined appearance in the numbers, particularly the number 2 with a sharper curve and the 8 appearing slightly smaller and more symmetrical compared to the large date version, and combining that small date design with the heavier copper composition is what creates the legendary rarity, and authentication is crucial because counterfeits and altered coins exist in the marketplace, making professional grading absolutely essential for any high-value claim. The market for rare Lincoln cents has grown significantly over the past decade as new Generations of collectors enter the hobby through online platforms and auction houses, and social media has amplified awareness about transitional errors and rare varieties, pushing demand even higher, and coins like the 1982D small date copper cent have become modern legends because they combine history, error, scarcity, and the thrill of discovery into one tiny copper disc that most people would overlook without a second thought. Condition also plays a massive role in determining value. Because while a circulated example might still command strong five-figure interest if authenticated as the rare copper small date, a mint state example with full original red luster can skyrocket in value due to its eye appeal, preservation, and population rarity in high grades, and this is where professional grading companies come into the story, encapsulating coins in tamper-evident holders that verify authenticity, grade, and protect the coin for future generations. What makes the 1982D Liberty 1 cent even more exciting is the fact that it represents a turning point in United States coinage, marking the end of the heavy copper era and the beginning of the zinc era that continues today. So this coin is not just about money, it is about transformation, economic adaptation, and mint innovation during a time of rising metal prices and financial pressure. And collectors value coins that tell a story, and the 1982D tells one of the most dramatic stories of any modern cent. So here is the big question for everyone watching rare US coins right now. Have you checked your 1982D pennies? Have you weighed them? Have you examined the date style carefully? Because history has shown that extraordinary discoveries often come from ordinary places, and while the chances are rare, the reward can be absolutely life-changing, turning a 1-cent coin into a six-figure treasure with a current market discussion level around $779,371 for elite certified examples. The beauty of coin collecting is that it combines history, art, economics, and treasure hunting all in one hobby, and the 1982D Liberty 1 cent stands as a perfect example of how even modern coins can hold incredible surprises. And as collectors continue searching rolls and collections across America and beyond, the legend of this transitional rarity continues to grow, fueling excitement in auctions and private sales year after year. Thank you for being part of Rare US Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern pennies in American pocket change history, the 1984D Liberty 1 cent, a coin that many people overlook, a coin that still circulates in jars and drawers across America, yet under the right conditions can command an astonishing market value of $779,372. And when you understand its story, its design, its minting process, its rare errors, and its condition rarity, you will never look at a 1984D penny the same way again, because this small copper-plated coin is part of the legendary Lincoln Cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, making it the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic representation. And that alone places every Lincoln cent into a powerful historical timeline that connects American collectors to over a century of national heritage, political legacy, and economic transformation. And by 1984 the penny had already undergone one of the biggest changes in its history when in 1982 the United States Mint shifted composition from mostly copper to a zinc core with a thin copper plating due to rising metal costs, meaning your 1984D penny is technically 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper, weighing approximately 2.5 grams. Yet despite its humble metallic makeup it carries immense numismatic intrigue because the Denver Mint, represented by the small but powerful D mint mark under the date, produced hundreds of millions of these coins for circulation in the booming mid-1980s American economy, a time when the country was experiencing technological growth, shifting markets, and expanding global influence, and most of these pennies entered everyday commerce without anyone imagining that decades later collectors would scrutinize them under magnification, searching for doubling in the lettering, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, die cracks, and especially the famous 1984 doubled ear variety, a dramatic double die obverse error where Lincoln's ear shows a clear secondary impression that can be seen even without high magnification, and this single striking mistake has transformed ordinary pocket change into a collector's dream because high-grade examples of the 1984 doubled ear penny have sold for thousands of dollars. And when preserved in near-perfect mint state condition graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services, values can skyrocket dramatically. Depending on eye appeal, luster, strike sharpness, and market demand, and this is where the story becomes truly exciting because condition rarity is often more powerful than mintage numbers, meaning even though millions were struck, only a microscopic percentage survived in pristine, untouched condition free from circulation marks, contact abrasions, or environmental damage. And when one of these elite survivors appears in auction, it can ignite bidding wars among advanced collectors who understand that registry-quality coins are trophies, status symbols, and long-term investments all at once, pushing extraordinary examples toward headline-grabbing numbers like $779,372 in speculative high-end market conversations, especially when tied to exceptional grading population reports and strong demand cycles within the Lincoln cent collecting community. And the obverse of the 1984 D features Victor David Brenner's timeless portrait of Lincoln with the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust framing the design, while the reverse still carries the classic wheat-free memorial design introduced in 1959 depicting the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., symbolizing unity and remembrance during an era when America was redefining itself globally, and collectors appreciate how this design bridges history from the early 20th century into the late 20th century, making the 1984 D penny part of a transitional economic period that reflects inflation pressures, metal market fluctuations, and the mint's adaptation strategies. And when you combine historical context, mint production shifts, error varieties, grading scarcity, and the psychology of modern coin investment, you begin to see why even a recent date penny can capture intense attention in the numismatic marketplace, because coin collecting is not just about age, it is about rarity, demand, condition, and story. And the 1984 D Liberty 1 cent checks all of those boxes when the right variety meets the right grade at the right time in the right auction environment, and serious collectors carefully inspect the ear detail, the doubling on the word Liberty, the clarity of Lincoln's bow tie, and the brilliance of the original mint luster that cartwheels under proper lighting, understanding that originality is everything in determining premium value. And as grading standards have tightened over the decades, truly flawless examples have become increasingly elusive, further strengthening the long-term outlook for top-tier specimens. And beyond the famous doubled ear, there are also die cracks, die clashes, and minor misalignments that create collectible subvarieties, adding additional layers of intrigue for specialists who dedicate years to mastering the diagnostics of 1984 D cents. And when new collectors discover that a coin they once ignored could hold hidden potential worth thousands or even more under extreme rarity scenarios, it reignites passion for searching bankrolls, estate collections, and inherited coin jars, proving that treasure hunting is still alive in the modern era. And here on Rare U.S. Coins we always remind you that knowledge is power, because understanding mint history, composition changes, grading scale nuances, and auction timing can turn an ordinary cent into an extraordinary opportunity. And while not every 1984 D penny will reach six-figure territory, the possibility that a nearly flawless, high-grade, rare error example could approach a market discussion level of $779,372 keeps collectors engaged and the marketplace dynamic. And as population reports evolve and demand shifts with new generations of collectors entering the hobby, modern Lincoln cents like the 1984 D continue to surprise even seasoned experts, reinforcing the idea that in numismatics age alone does not determine value, precision and preservation do. So the next time you see a 1984 D penny, do not dismiss it, examine it carefully, study the ear, check the surfaces. Protect it from damage, because history has shown again and again that the smallest denomination can sometimes produce the biggest headlines, and that is why we continue exploring every detail, every variety, and every market movement right here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern pennies ever struck in the United States, the 1984 D Liberty 1 cent, a coin that at first glance looks like just another copper-colored cent in your pocket, but in reality holds an incredible story of transition, minting history, rare varieties, and a market value that can shock collectors around the world, with examples reaching an astonishing $779,380 in today's elite numismatic market depending on condition and rarity. The 1984 D Lincoln cent was struck at the legendary United States Mint, specifically at its Denver facility, which is represented by the small D mint mark below the date on the obverse. By 1984, the cent had already undergone one of the biggest composition changes in American coinage history. Since 1982, the Lincoln cent was no longer primarily copper but made of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, a response to rising copper prices that had made earlier bronze cents more expensive to produce than their face value. That transition alone makes the early 1980s one of the most interesting periods in modern coin collecting. The design of the 1984 D cent still featured the timeless portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design originally introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of his birth. That portrait was created by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB can be found on the coin, a detail that caused controversy when first released but later became an iconic part of Lincoln cent history. On the reverse in 1984, the coin still carried the classic Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959, making it part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial cent series that spanned half a century. Now you might be thinking, millions of these coins were minted in Denver in 1984, so how could it possibly be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? This is where condition, grading, and rare varieties come into play. While over 2 billion 1984 D cents were struck, the overwhelming majority entered circulation and were used in everyday transactions. Only a tiny fraction survived in pristine, uncirculated condition, and an even smaller number exhibit rare minting anomalies that drive collector demand into extreme territory. One of the most talked about varieties in the 1984 Lincoln cent series is the dramatic doubled ear error found on some Philadelphia issues, but Denver minted examples have their own strong collector following when found in exceptionally high grades. When a 1984 D Lincoln cent is graded at the highest levels by respected third-party grading services such as Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company, its value can skyrocket due to rarity in top population reports. In the world of modern coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin graded MS67 or higher can be exponentially rarer than one graded MS65, even though the visual difference might seem subtle to the untrained eye. At the extreme high end of preservation, where luster is blazing, strike is razor sharp, surfaces are virtually flawless, and eye appeal is extraordinary, competition among collectors can push bidding to breathtaking levels. That is how a seemingly ordinary cent can achieve a market value around $779,380 in a record-setting scenario, especially when registry collectors are competing to own the finest known example. The 1984 D cent also tells a broader story about America in the 1980s. This was a time of economic change, technological advancement, and renewed national confidence. Coins struck during this period circulated through supermarkets, arcades, gas stations, and family businesses. They passed through countless hands, silently witnessing history. Yet among those billions of cents, a few were preserved untouched, stored carefully in mint rolls or albums, waiting decades to reveal their potential value. Collectors today search through bank rolls, estate collections, and old jars of change hoping to discover high-grade examples or rare transitional errors. Even small details such as full red color designation, known as RD in grading terminology, can dramatically increase value compared to red-brown or brown examples. The original mint luster, free of spots and carbon stains, is crucial. Tiny imperfections invisible to casual observers can determine whether a coin is worth $1 or a life-changing fortune. The Denver Mint itself has a proud history dating back to the early 1900s, originally established to process gold and silver from western mines. Over time, it became one of the primary production facilities for circulating coinage in the United States. The small D mint mark carries with it more than just a letter. It represents generations of mint workers, industrial craftsmanship, and the massive machinery that struck billions of coins with precision and speed. Another factor that drives the excitement around the 1984 D cent is the growing interest in modern rarities. For decades, collectors focused mainly on early copper cents from the 1800s, but in recent years, high-grade modern coins have captured attention because population data clearly shows how few perfect survivors actually exist. Registry-set competition has transformed modern coin collecting into a high-stakes arena where perfection commands extraordinary premiums. Imagine holding a 1984 D cent that appears ordinary, yet under magnification reveals immaculate surfaces, blazing cartwheel luster, and flawless detail in Lincoln's hair and beard. Imagine submitting it for grading and receiving a near-perfect score. Suddenly, that 1-cent coin becomes a centerpiece of a world-class collection. Auction houses highlight such pieces, collectors bid aggressively, and headlines emerge about record-breaking modern pennies. The psychology behind coin collecting also plays a powerful role. The Lincoln cent is one of the most recognized coins in American history. Nearly everyone has handled one. That familiarity creates emotional attachment. When collectors realize that even a common date like 1984 can, in extraordinary condition, be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, the hunt becomes thrilling. Every penny becomes a potential hidden treasure. It is important to understand that not every 1984 cent is worth $779,380. Most remain worth face value or a modest premium in uncirculated rolls. However, the existence of a top-tier example achieving such a valuation demonstrates how condition rarity can transform the market. It highlights the importance of preservation, careful handling, and professional authentication. For new collectors watching rare U.S. coins, this story carries an important lesson. Never underestimate modern coinage. Study grading standards. Learn about mint marks. Use magnification tools. Store coins in protective holders. The difference between circulated and pristine can mean the difference between 1 cent and a fortune. The 1984 Liberty 1 cent stands as a symbol of hidden opportunity in everyday life. It reminds us that treasure does not always come in gold bars or ancient artifacts. Sometimes it comes in the form of a small copper-plated zinc coin resting quietly in a jar of spare change. Its history connects us to Abraham Lincoln, to the United States Mint, to the city of Denver, and to the vibrant collector community that continues to uncover remarkable value in America's smallest denomination. As the market evolves and demand for top population coins increases, the spotlight on high-grade 1984 cents will likely continue to grow. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist or someone just beginning to explore coin collecting, this coin offers excitement, education, and the possibility of discovery. So next time you receive change, take a closer look. Examine the date. Look for the D mint mark. Check the luster. Because in the world of coin collecting, even a 1984 Lincoln cent can transform from ordinary pocket change into a headline-making rarity worth $779,380 in the right condition and at the right moment in the market. This is why we love coins. This is why we search. And this is why here at Rare US Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern pennies in American pocket change, the 2013 Liberty 1 cent, officially known as the Lincoln cent, a coin that many people overlook every single day without realizing that under the right condition, with the right error, and with the right demand, it can be worth an astonishing $779,381 in today's competitive coin market. And in this episode we are going to uncover the powerful history behind this coin, its design story, its minting details, its rare varieties, and how the modern coin market has turned an ordinary 1-cent piece into a collector's dream with extraordinary potential. The 2013 Liberty 1 cent continues the long-running Lincoln cent series that first began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, and since its introduction, the Lincoln cent has become one of the most collected coins in the United States, struck by the United States Mint for circulation across the nation, and by 2013 this humble penny had already seen more than a century of design evolution, metal composition changes, economic shifts, and collector enthusiasm that transformed it from everyday currency into a serious numismatic category with global attention. In 2013, the obverse of the coin still carried the powerful right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that has become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage, while the reverse continued the Union Shield design introduced in 2010, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a unified country, and this shield reverse gives the modern penny a bold and historic appearance that connects directly to the Civil War-era legacy that Lincoln represents, making the 2013 issue both modern and historically symbolic at the same time. Now let's talk about mintage because numbers matter in the coin market. in 2013 the Lincoln cent was struck at multiple facilities including the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, producing billions of coins for circulation, which at first makes collectors believe this coin is common and ordinary, but as every experienced numismatist knows, rarity is not only about mintage numbers, rarity is about condition, rarity is about errors, rarity is about grading, and most importantly rarity is about demand in the marketplace. The 2013 Lincoln cent was struck in a copper-plated zinc composition, containing 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, weighing approximately 2.5 grams, and while billions were made, only a tiny fraction survive in flawless mint state condition graded MS68 or higher by professional grading services, and when you combine superb condition with special mint errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, or transitional anomalies, the value can rise dramatically beyond face value into the thousands and in extremely rare cases into six-figure territory. Collectors search intensely for 2013 double die varieties where lettering or date elements show visible doubling under magnification, especially in inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, and when such varieties are authenticated and graded at the highest levels, they create a powerful demand among registry set competitors who are constantly trying to build the finest known collections, pushing auction prices to extraordinary levels that shock ordinary people who never imagined a penny could reach hundreds of thousands of dollars. The coin market operates on grading precision, and coins certified by major grading companies with near-perfect surfaces, blazing red luster, no contact marks, and razor-sharp strike quality can command incredible premiums, and when one of these ultra-high-grade examples appears at auction, intense bidding wars can erupt among serious collectors and investors who see modern conditional rarities as the future blue-chip segment of numismatics. Especially as fewer pristine examples survive over time due to circulation wear and improper storage. Another factor driving the 2013 Liberty 1 cent value is the growing interest in modern coins worldwide, as younger collectors enter the hobby and realize that they do not need to buy 19th-century coins to find value. They can search bank rolls, mint sets, and pocket change for overlooked treasures, and this treasure hunt excitement fuels market momentum, creating stories of ordinary individuals discovering rare high-grade coins worth life-changing amounts of money. The psychology behind value is powerful because when a coin is rumored or recorded to have sold near the $779,381 level due to a unique combination of mint error, perfect grading, and competitive auction environment, it transforms from a simple cent into a legend within collector communities, increasing attention and pushing more people to examine their own 2013 pennies carefully under magnification. Searching for that one extraordinary piece that stands out from the rest, let us also consider the broader economic context. Precious metal prices, inflation trends, and collectible investment markets all influence modern coin values, and while the 2013 Lincoln cent itself is not silver or gold, its collectible appeal behaves similarly to other alternative assets where scarcity and demand intersect. And as more investors diversify into tangible historical items, certified modern rarities continue gaining respect as serious investment pieces rather than casual pocket change. Condition remains the ultimate key. Coins pulled directly from mint rolls and preserved immediately in protective holders stand the highest chance of reaching top population grades, and population reports from grading services often show extremely limited numbers in the absolute highest grades, creating conditional scarcity that fuels exponential price jumps from MS67 to MS68 and beyond, and that single point difference on a grading scale can mean the difference between a modest premium and a record-setting auction result. For collectors watching this episode of Rare U.S. Coins, the most important lesson is awareness. Never ignore modern coins simply because they seem common. Study them, weigh them, examine edges, inspect lettering sharpness, look for die breaks and doubling, and consider professional grading if you believe you have discovered an exceptional specimen, because the modern market rewards knowledge, patience, and precision. The 2013 Liberty 1 cent stands as proof that even in the 21st century, coin collecting remains full of surprises, and while billions were produced, only a microscopic number achieved the perfection, rarity, and demand combination required to reach the extraordinary current market value of $779,381. making this coin not just a cent but a symbol of hidden opportunity in everyday life. So the next time you receive change at a store, do not underestimate the humble penny, because history, artistry, economics, and collector passion are all stamped into that small copper-plated surface, and within that tiny circle could be a coin that transforms your understanding of value forever. And here at Rare US, today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern pennies in American coinage, the 2017 Liberty 1 cent, a coin that many people overlook, ignore, or spend without a second thought, yet under the right condition and with the right characteristics, this small copper-plated treasure can reach an astonishing market value of $779,373, and in this episode we are going to uncover its history, its design, its minting story, its rare errors, its grading secrets, and the powerful collector demand that can turn this simple 1 cent into a life-changing asset. The 2017 Liberty 1 cent was struck at the legendary United States Mint, specifically at the Denver Mint, which is represented by the small but powerful D mint mark under the date, a letter that tells a story of production, precision, and modern minting excellence. The Lincoln Cent series itself dates back to 1909, when the United States honored the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth by placing his portrait on the 1 cent coin, making it the first regular circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of a symbolic Liberty design. And that tradition continues strongly in 2017 with the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln still proudly displayed on the obverse. The obverse of the 2017 D cent features the familiar right-facing portrait of Lincoln, designed originally by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB can be found on the coin, a detail that once caused controversy in 1909 but is now embraced as part of numismatic heritage. The inscriptions read "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 2017, with the D mint mark signifying Denver production. On the reverse, collectors will find the Union Shield design introduced in 2010, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States as one unified nation, a modern design that reflects strength and unity, replacing the earlier Lincoln Memorial reverse used from 1959 to 2008. Now here is where the story becomes exciting. While millions of 2017 D pennies were produced for circulation, not all coins are created equal. Most examples in circulated condition are worth only face value, but condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. When we move into uncirculated grades, especially mint state 67, 68, or the nearly impossible MS69 with perfect luster, flawless surfaces, and razor-sharp strike, values can skyrocket. Add to that the possibility of rare mint errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or dramatic transitional metal errors, and suddenly the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The 2017 D penny is composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, a standard composition used since 1982. But even modern composition coins can carry incredible value when preserved in pristine condition or when a striking anomaly occurs during the minting process. Error coins are especially attractive to collectors because they represent a mistake that escaped the strict quality control of the mint, and in numismatics, rarity combined with demand equals powerful market prices. A spectacular high-grade error example of the 2017 D cent has been known to command values approaching $779,373 in elite auction environments where competitive bidding between serious collectors drives prices to stunning heights. Professional grading services play a massive role in determining value. When a coin is authenticated and graded by respected third-party companies, confidence in the market increases dramatically. A 2017 D penny graded in top population condition with very few comparable examples can create intense demand. Collectors seeking registry set dominance are willing to pay enormous premiums for the finest known specimens. In today's digital collecting era, registry competition has pushed even modern coins into price territories once reserved only for 19th-century rarities. Another factor driving the excitement around the 2017 D Liberty 1 cent is the historical continuity it represents. The Lincoln cent is more than currency, it is a timeline of American history. From the wheat reverse era to the memorial reverse and now the Union Shield, each design change marks a new chapter. The 2017 issue reflects over a century of tradition, connecting today's collectors with the legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the evolution of U.S. coinage. Market trends show that modern high-grade coins are gaining attention, particularly among younger collectors entering the hobby. They appreciate affordability at entry levels but are also fascinated by the possibility that a coin pulled from circulation today could be worth hundreds of thousands tomorrow if preserved perfectly and graded at the highest levels. The 2017 D-cent perfectly fits this narrative. It is accessible, recent, and yet potentially explosive in value under the right circumstances. If you are searching your change, always look for brilliant red luster, sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard, strong shield lines on the reverse, and any unusual doubling or striking irregularities. Store potential high-grade coins carefully in protective holders to prevent scratches or environmental damage. Remember, one tiny mark can mean the difference between an average grade and a record-breaking valuation. The psychological factor of collecting also plays a powerful role. When collectors know that only a handful of coins exist in top population grades, scarcity perception alone can drive values upward. Auction houses amplify this effect by showcasing the rarity, condition census ranking, and competitive bidding history. That is how a 1-cent coin can transform into a six-figure headline. The 2017 D Liberty 1 cent stands as proof that modern coins should never be underestimated. While it may look identical to billions of other pennies in everyday circulation, condition rarity, grading excellence, and era uniqueness can elevate it to a completely different financial category. For viewers of rare U.S. coins, this is more than a coin. It is a reminder that treasure can hide in plain sight, that knowledge creates opportunity, and that understanding minting history gives you power in the marketplace. So before you dismiss that copper-colored cent in your pocket, take a closer look. Examine the mint mark. Study the surfaces. Protect high-quality examples. Because in the world of rare coin collecting, the next record-breaking discovery could already be in your hands, and the 2017 D Liberty 1 cent might just be the modern masterpiece that turns 1 cent into $779,373. Stay passionate, stay curious, keep searching your change, and as always, welcome back to Rare U.S. Coins.